So, end of story, right? Microsoft basically won everything. They made an OS that was a great marketable product, simple and inviting to use for novices and pros alike. It worked well and was well designed from a technical perspective, a visual feast for the eyes. Forget games for Windows Live. Microsoft even won the console wars around this time, right? Right? So, what is a Microsoft to do? And when I say they won everything, I mean except the emerging smartphone space, which quickly became the dominant computing platform worldwide and the primary computing device, and most of the still remaining human internet traffic is generated by them to this day. But I'm purposely ignoring all that. So what more was Microsoft to do in this situation? Nothing, and remain the undisputed champion of desktop computing and let Google and Apple just have at it with the mobile phone market? Well, dear viewer, the answer is obvious. Remove all the stuff people like, add stuff no one asked for, make it worse in every conceivable way, try to expand to phones and tablets, blame them, and call it a day. How do we get there? Well, let's start in 2011 with Windows 8 Beta. Since I already showed Longhorn, might as well show this real quick. So far, pretty normal Windows. Windows 7, get a little startup screen. Little blinking cursor, pretty unusual. Windows 7 type logon screen. How about no? How about no? How about no? But yeah, you might notice we've got some interesting buttons here. Also, it's very laggy. The buttons are too big. And you do notice that we got a little extra fella here, thing that says my settings, something about user account or whatever. To get a little crossword puzzle or something there. And a little thing here, it says unauthorized use. But apart from that, not much going on. We get a new Explorer 9. I do like this one actually. Little arrow buttons and whatnot. But yeah, apart from that, just normal Windows 7, no issue really here. If we go here, it says 6.2. Per Microsoft Confidential. Ooh. But there is, as with Longhorn, a couple of registry tweaks that we can enable that will change this experience somewhat. So why don't we go ahead and do just that. So, not much difference here. Do get our little guy still. The confidential thing disappearing. Still the same thing we had before in WinVer and whatnot. Nothing particularly new. And well, actually, Explorer does look quite a bit different. Get the little ribbon. I always forget that's a thing. I forget that they added that later on. And that might be a little hint for what's to come. But yeah, you get this quick access ribbon. That's neat. But yeah, apart from that, just normal internet, normal Windows. Nothing particularly new. Here. Sound, whatever, old things. And then we hit the start button. And we've got a Windows 8 type, like Metro UI. Look at that. Look at that. Can't drag these around or anything, but we can resize. If I resize that, I guess I can't, but I can move to other programs, which just kind of makes it vanish. And we do have a little settings panel here. Some of them work. I think Michael MJD on YouTube did a more deep dive. I'm not going to go too deeply into this. But yeah, mobile broadband, you really get to see like a hint of where it's all going to go. See a desktop control panel, whatnot. You even get the ribbon, which I always thought was kind of neat. I actually really like it. Switch between desktop and control panel. So this is even called a control panel. Kind of get the idea that they were moving towards this type of interface. And yeah, I don't think we got much of anything. We got share, so I don't think does anything. We got connect, which seems to maybe open something down there. We get start, which just brings us to here. And if we do, I don't know if we can log out from here. Maybe we have to right click or something. Maybe not. Maybe we just can't. But yeah, you do get a new logon UI as well. I wonder if I can log off from here. Oh, there. So this is kind of like almost a halfway point between Windows 7 and Windows 8, sorry. But yeah, it's still got that Windows 7 start screen, but then you get this. Get that, which I think just will shut down the computer. And yeah, you get this logon UI that's definitely a lot more Windows 8 than Windows 7, and it brings you to this menu instead of the normal one. Yeah, I don't think you get to launch, like, I don't think there's actually any full screen apps you can launch. But, yeah, it's just an interesting little relic of history. Guess that didn't work out for them. I do wonder if there's any full screen apps that are just hidden away anywhere. I guess I can't look for them because proper start menu. Yeah, until I wasn't a fan of Windows 8. Probably not. Very subtle. That same year, 2012, we got the full release of Windows 8. And yeah, in all fairness though, Windows 8 looks the way it does because it runs the way it does on low-end hardware, especially like the hardware featured in phones and tablets. And Microsoft wanted a unified look for the brand, and flat design was genuinely really popular with people, and frankly, for good reason. For every Aero Glass or iOS 4 or macOS 10.8, there was just endless crap that didn't really work or look right because it took a lot of effort to nail that, skeuomorphic design. In an era of app stores and third-party apps that were made by small teams with few resources and no jippity to prompt, flat design made sense because it just allowed for better cohesion between the actual OS and the third-party apps within. I also just don't hate the look of it. I think it's actually quite nice. You do get a decent bit of whiplash between the two interfaces. Honestly though, it's alright. Yep, there it is. Get our proper sign out options. We get our ribbon, devices, search, settings. Settings, of course, brings us to this pretty neat menu, actually. You get your little, like, quick network, whatever. I did hate the network menu in this. Just absolutely not a fan. Get notifications, tiles, whatever. Yeah, just kind of neat. You get to open the settings app. Do almost no real personalization. Change the start screen color and whatnot. Get users, whatever, notifications. True classic. It's time. Well, not really. I don't see anybody ever going back to this, but it is something. Like, I will give them that. Like, they at least did sort of try to just make everything, oh, that's what that does. That's neat. Ooh, you get a little zoom out. Makes more sense on a tablet, I assume. Yeah. I feel like this was a very transitionary stage for Microsoft, obviously, but, I do appreciate them trying to do something new. I just don't think it worked, and I don't really like the fact that they doubled down, because this was just not a very good user experience for anybody, I would imagine. They didn't really have the Surface first-party devices back then either. Do have a little Xbox tie-in here. A little full-screen calendar. You get a little photos, viewer app. Always hated that shit. Get a little news app. It's just gonna be like Bing News. I don't want news about Bing or from Bing. Get little maps. Which is not very high resolution, it seems, unless you have internet. And I'm not gonna connect this to the internet. Get a little camera app, which I feel like is appreciated considering how many people use tablets at this point. Get finance, whatever this is. Greek pro bailout parties. This is a very, like, aged, I wonder if this article just comes with Windows 8. Like, I wonder how, if you're Greek, how do you feel about that? That just being, like, the static thing it shows you. Get a little messaging. I think this is just MSN Messenger. I used to think you get Skype built in on this, but I guess you are meant to go to the Microsoft Store, which is an innovation of the time. It's kind of them trying to do the Mac App Store, but on their own terms. I do wonder if this still connects. I feel like I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to connect this to the internet. I feel like there's just not a lot to show about it unless you connect it to the internet. Fuck it, let's go. I think it's set to bridged, so try finance. Oh, there it is. It's trying to load in. All it knows is this. I don't think whatever this resource is that it's using is probably still working today. See, I don't know what this Bing Travel. Sure, why not? try, there's also people. I guess I've really tried to go with this people thing for a while. We weren't able to connect to the store. Yeah, I didn't think so. It'd be pretty cool if I still could see what the apps were of the time on that store. You get sports, problem, try again, fantastic, photos, SkyDrive. Oh my god, I forgot about SkyDrive. So SkyDrive was the thing before OneDrive, I think. Yeah, can connect, but it does try. Get little Xbox avatars in here. It does try. You get music. Can connect to the oh yeah, Xbox Music. What a time. What a time. See, I'm now curious, is that gonna bring me anywhere? I mean, it is Microsoft domain. Wait, I don't want to reset connection. I just want to go to this URL. Yeah, what if I go to just HTTPS like google.com? Yeah, there you go. That works. So we definitely are there. 2012, the age of the startups and the whatnot. Certainly a thing. Oh, you need a Microsoft account to even use the calendar. How obnoxious. Anyway, I think we're just about done with the like full screen apps. At least I don't see. It would be cool if we got like a text entry thing to save a file from here, but I don't think they bothered to put anything like that in here. To enable the administrative apps just in case one of them would be like a thing. But why don't we go to desktop, and we have a much more traditional normal desktop. You do sometimes get little reminders here. You're not really using the good old Windows anymore. You do get Action Center, and I think if you hover over the right edge you get these, and I do like the little time pop up there. I just wish they added more useful ribbons. Like, what the fuck is even share? Nothing can be shared from the desktop. That's fantastic. That's really cool, Microsoft. It's really useful, you know. That's why you put it there, right? Get devices, second screen, whatever, settings, PC info. So yeah, and you do get rid of the arrow. I assume they wanted this to run on tablets and stuff like that, so they made it ugly so it would run much better. But yeah, system rating not available. I guess it knows it's running in a VM, probably. At this point, this was like the age of the cloud and virtualization. I don't think I want remote assistance connections to this computer, actually, on second thought. Don't get a start button. It's probably the most obvious. You get classic taskbar options and stuff, but I feel like back then, very common to install those sort of like start as back type apps that just let you restore start to its former glory. Yeah, Explorer doesn't have the ribbon open by default, which is kind of shocking to me, but you can open it, and it does have this like bar at the top here, which is different from Windows 7. And you still have the Windows 7 icons and everything. Still all that in there. I don't think you have any particularly new apps, and even if there are, there's probably kind of a pain to search for them. Yeah, I don't imagine... How did I access the old apps before? There we go. Let's try looking. We got all these full screen apps. Weather, whatever. That might be neat. Maybe this will work. Who knows? Nah. How about London? Let's try it. Weather data is not available for this location. Damn, London's like absolutely losing out over here. This is kind of still default, but I think if we hit personalize... Oh no, personalize still is normal. You don't get a lot of sounds. You get this Windows default. I do wonder if you can enable the old scheme. No, you cannot. That's it. No more sounds. Sounds are tacky. Sounds give stuff a personality. Yeah. I feel like I used to have this theme a bunch, and I would change the color to be like a more red, something like that. But yeah, as you can see, you don't get transparency anymore or anything like that. Nothing fancy. I do like how solid and bright it lets you pick the color. Because modern Windows doesn't even let you do that. Not really, at least. But yeah, that's Windows 8. We do have CMD. Do we have Curly XC here yet? What about invoke web request? Yeah, there it is. So that works. At least that's there. What version of PowerShell is this exactly? It's still 1.0, but I don't know if that ever really changed, because clearly it is different. Can we zoom this in yet? No, we cannot. About PowerShell, the like console host itself. Still nothing. But yeah, so it has fairly minimal changes, I would say. You get the other personalized menu somewhere here, I think. It's interesting how this has both a this settings menu and the other one. This is a dichotomy that would go on for a while for this, but I guess this was just to make it easier to use it on tablet. But I don't know, I feel like Windows on tablets was never really that bad. I mean, there were tablets since at least the XP or 2000 era or something. I could understand what they were trying to do. I just think it didn't really work. But like if they had if they had those Surface devices debut with this, which I think some of them did, but they were like the ARM based devices that sucked because you couldn't go on the thing. You couldn't install any programs on them, so it was just kind of worthless. It was limited to the Microsoft Store. But the Microsoft Store wasn't going to get that much attention because, people who use Windows aren't usually that affluent, like on average, because Windows is just kind of the default, naturally. Mac OS users tend to be more affluent because those products are designed to be a bit of a status symbol, designed to be fashionable and whatnot. And, the App Store there makes sense. But here, there's such a wide, like Windows, one of the reasons you'd use it is just how many different little programs there are out there of all sorts, of professional to open source to professional open source to like dodgy paid ones, if that's what you're into. So many different things. And I feel like the store and whatnot, it just, I couldn't see it working. And knowing you were being limited to it before it was really like feature complete, I feel like that was just the death knell for it, really. But anyway, in the absence of a proper start menu, I'm gonna run Notepad like this, and I'm gonna say, and yeah, we'll call it that. A little foreshadowing there. Can't save it to SkyDrive or whatever from Explorer. That's kind of what I was hoping to do. Although not like it would let me anyway, because I'm not signed into a Microsoft account, nor do I have any intention of doing so. But yeah, there you go. Ooh, hello. I think that's my keyboard, to be fair. Yeah, Windows 6.2. And right below it's like Microsoft 8 operating system, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, there you are. Ooh. And then there we go. That's the one. That's what I was looking for. This, yeah. You get pretty much the exact same control panel you always have. I do remember them making pretty good improvements to like plug and play on this version and the subsequent Windows versions. When this first came out, I was really hyped about it. I thought it would be so cool. I don't know, this just looked so futuristic. And I was like, again, 13 or something. I actually bought, this might be the only version of Windows I have actually bought, and it was with my own, pocket money. But for 50 quid or so. And then when I put it on my laptop, there weren't drivers for the GPU, and then I couldn't use it. The only drivers I could install, even when I got back on Windows 7, the installer for that AMD Athlon or like whatever the fuck Radeon graphics, it was like too big to fit it on the screen that it would run with 640 by 480. And I was like, I didn't know how to use like the command line or anything. I couldn't find any way around it. So I just gave up on that laptop and didn't use it anymore until I could get it like repaired when I went home for holidays. It was just a disaster. And then I still used Windows 8 afterwards. And I then realized I just didn't like it. When they got to Windows 8.1, they brought back the start button, but all it really did was just open that menu. So, wonder how the control delete screen. Yeah, there we go. Lock. Yeah, there it is. So, why don't we go ahead and move on? No sound, eh? No soul. 2015, Microsoft 10. 2015. Windows 10. Microsoft said this would be the last version of Windows, that Windows 10 would be live updated until the end of time. Introducing Microsoft Edge replacing Internet Explorer, Action Center for quick controls, virtual desktops, return of the start menu, at least the non-full screen one, and more. Let's have a look. Well. Looks just like Windows 8, doesn't it, with that logo and everything? But it is not Windows 8. It is in fact Windows 10. Skipping over 8.1, somewhat controversially, but I feel like this video has already been very Windows centric real quick. So Windows 10 brought back an actual start menu, but it's still very tile-like and everything. Still have the Microsoft Store, looks pretty much the same. Not gonna connect this to the internet at all. We get a different Explorer. Now there's no more color around the borders and everything looks a lot more flat. All the icons have been flattened out, all of the like arrow effect removed. Get something called Action Center, which is kind of a replacement for the ribbons, I think, unless it's just still around. No, they're not. And you get some stuff here. You get a settings menu, which sucks. It's truly horrible. This somehow feels even worse than like Windows 8 because it's still designed pretty badly, but it's so full and so much stuff is duplicated and so much stuff started being removed from the other areas of the system that it just wasn't worth it anymore. Also, I don't know if we checked this on Windows 8, but can we do this? Not send message. Damn, where am I getting that from? There it is. At least that's still around. Something we could still rely on. There's no more full screen start menu. We do get a little task view here that lets us kind of alt tab. I think it's open with Win tab, which is alright. I guess that's fine. We get a virtual... No, yeah, we do. We get virtual desktops for the first time. And we do get these Win hotkeys that just snap places. I know that Win Snap was around like a while before, but I wonder if there's like a way to actually move to the second desktop from here. I feel like that's kind of the key, but I suppose not. Maybe not. We get our Microsoft Edge now replacing Internet Explorer, although Internet Explorer is still very much here. It's also been updated to like 11 or so. It's kind of made more in line. You get a little send a smile, send a frown. Truly, we are like a boomer moding here. But yeah, you get a Microsoft Edge, which was actually pretty good as a browser. No one used it though, because Microsoft tried to force people to use it, so it had a bad reputation to start with. Then an uphill climb because Chrome was just great, and there was no real reason to switch from it. Plus, it had this kind of very, I don't know, metro design. It seemed like they just took a full screen app from Windows 8 and just made it into a window. It looks sleek enough, very flat looking, but you know, it is what it is. You get a little search here with something called Cortana from the video game Halo. It really was a time. Great, now what would you like me to call you? Make it confusing. Call me Cortana. Great, Cortana it is. Yeah, whatever. That way I keep track of what you know. Maybe more like you can't, can you? So they gave you an option to search everything, and they did give you this fold out thing, but you can just kind of search stuff like a notepad here, which I think is pretty cool. It's blazing fast as well, at least on this like one that's not got very much installed. You get a shortcut to get Office. You get Solitaire Collection with game bar support. Let's go. Let's get that game bar. We Xboxing. We got that Xbox. This is what an Xbox is. Oh my god, I think that Xbox app just fucking crashes right away. Then we get money, get news, Edge, whatever. Same kind of stuff, really. Yeah, you do get a lot more settings this time around. Your personalization. You can choose colors. I think you can actually change the, if I make this red and do this, yeah, it'll show in like the outlines of Windows. I don't know if it'll show on like Explorer. No, it just shows it as an outline. That's so weird. I think they brought that back in Windows 11. That's wacky. They still have transparency. Also worth noting that this was before the transparency effect called Mica, and this is still using Arrow. It's still got that, it's still very transparent, very glass-like look to it. You can actually restore the old Arrow via some hacks back in the day. Personalization menu, on the other hand, is gone. Oh no, there it is. Never mind. Spoke too soon. There it is. It's still there. Still the classic. And you still get a control panel with some new icons. I feel like I was going to say most, but not really. It's just some. Backup and restore Windows 7. They seem to have changed a lot of the like big icons, but once you dive into the old items, it's just kind of all over the place. This is Windows 7, clearly. This looks like Windows 7, now looks like Windows 7. It doesn't help that they didn't change the aesthetic too much, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes what isn't changed. Oh yeah, Microsoft said this would be the last version of Windows to ever release, so that did not work out for them. Also, we got a new calendar, new network menu compared to Windows 8. A new sound menu. Finally got Microsoft OneDrive. I say finally like we've been looking forward to it, but I mean, they changed it from SkyDrive, so there you go. Cloud storage, baby. It was all that cloud. Yeah, I don't know what this is implying. Is Windows Phone still around at this point? Because this is like 2015 by now. Oh, they were dead at this point. But yeah, that about does it. Little all apps, 3D builder, whatever that is, maps, more of those like Windows Store type apps still. But it does change as it goes on. Oh yeah, you still get the classic taskbar options. Personalization menu. This is just a placeholder text, isn't it? I feel like they just did not change that. Yeah, there's no light mode or anything like that. So they changed that later. They added like a dark mode and a light mode. So instead, the search bar is black, and then it lights up, or gray, and then it lights up white once you click on it. Just fine. It's not the end of the world or anything. If you're upgrading from Windows 8, I feel like this would be a upgrade. But otherwise, yeah, get that enhanced telemetry and shitification all around. Not ideal. So let's see if this last version of Windows ever really kept going, because they thought they were just gonna keep updating it forever, but talking yapping for so long. There you go. And then probably save it to OneDrive. But it's gonna ask me, oh no, there it goes. But yeah, it's gonna ask me to sign into like Microsoft, but it does save it there. So there you go. I feel like this is the first time in a while we've actually done the process of sharing it, and then you go and like share it or something with someone. So this is version 10.0, 10.0. And keep that in mind, because we'll see this evolve. 2015, build 10 to 40. That'll change in just a moment.